The corridors of power in Brussels and Berlin are trembling with a dawning, chilling fear. Russia has issued a stark warning. If Germany arms Ukraine with Taurus missiles and they strike Russian territory, Germany will become a target. This is not a bluff. This is a direct threat. The implications are horrifying, yet contemplate them we must. The stakes could not be higher. At the very heart of international law, enshrined within the Charter of the United Nations, lies Article 51. It's not some dusty, forgotten codicil, it is a foundational principle of the post-World War II global order. This article unequivocally affirms the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense if an armed attack occurs against a member of the United Nations. This isn't a suggestion, nor is it a privilege granted by a higher authority. It is an inherent right, a recognition that every sovereign nation possesses the fundamental capacity to protect itself from aggression. Russia, in its stark warning to Germany, is not plucking justifications from thin air. It is explicitly invoking this cornerstone of international jurisprudence. The German government, under Chancellor Friedrich Merz, stands at a precipice, contemplating a decision that could irrevocably alter the course of European security for generations. The reported and hotly debated intention to supply Ukraine with Taurus KEPD 350 long-range cruise missiles is not merely another incremental step in military aid, it is a quantum leap in provocation. These are not defensive systems designed to protect Ukrainian skies. The Taurus is a sophisticated air-launched weapon with a range exceeding 500 kilometers, equipped with advanced penetration aids and a powerful warhead. It is designed for deep strikes against hardened and high-value targets, command bunkers, critical infrastructure, logistical hubs, the very sinews of a nation's ability to function and defend itself. To place such a weapon in the hands of Ukraine with the explicit understanding that it could be used against targets deep within Russia is an act of breathtaking recklessness. From Russia's clearly articulated perspective, the provision of Taurus missiles is a deliberate and unacceptable escalation. It crosses a red line that Moscow has repeatedly, if sometimes opaquely, tried to communicate. To understand the depth of Russia's current fury and its stark warnings to Germany, one must delve into the recent past, into the ashes of the Cold War, and the controversial, relentless eastward expansion of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Russian leaders, from Yeltsin to Putin, have consistently voiced a profound sense of betrayal stemming from what they assert were assurances given by Western leaders in the early 1990s. As the Berlin Wall crumbled and the Soviet Union dissolved, the narrative from Moscow is that promises were made, perhaps not always formally codified in treaties but clearly communicated, that NATO would not expand 1 inch eastward beyond the borders of a reunified Germany. This understanding was seen by Russia as a crucial condition for its acquiescence to German reunification and the withdrawal of Soviet forces from Eastern Europe. However, from Russia's perspective, these assurances proved to be hollow. The 1990s and 2000s witnessed wave after wave of NATO expansion, incorporating former Warsaw Pact nations like Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic, followed by the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, which shared direct borders with Russia. Each expansion was met with increasingly strident protests from Moscow, which viewed this eastward creep not as a benign enlargement of a defensive alliance, but as a deliberate strategic encirclement, a breaking of faith that eroded trust and steadily ratcheted up geopolitical tensions. The alliance that was formed to counter the Soviet Union was now, in Russian eyes, marching inexorably towards its very doorstep, ignoring its stated security concerns and treating it as a defeated power whose interests could be safely disregarded. Section 5: Berlin's betrayal, German elites versus German people. A chasm is widening in Germany, a dangerous gap between the pronouncements of its political elites and the palpable anxieties of its ordinary citizens. The current German leadership, a coalition seemingly more attuned to the demands of foreign capitals than the well-being of its own populace, appears determined to steer the nation onto a collision course with Russia. The German people, with their profound and tragic historical memory of devastating European wars, including 2 catastrophic conflicts with Russia, exhibit a notable reluctance to escalate the Ukraine conflict. They understand, perhaps better than their leaders, the horrific potential of a direct confrontation with a nuclear-armed power. Yet, their voices of caution and pleas for de-escalation seem to fall on deaf ears in the halls of the Bundestag and the Chancellery under Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Section 6. NATO's Nervous Tremors, the Alliance Awakens to Reality. Behind the facade of unwavering resolve and unified condemnation of Russia, a palpable sense of unease is reportedly rippling through the headquarters of NATO. Russia's direct and unambiguous warning to Germany, that the use of German-supplied Taurus missiles from Ukraine to strike Russian territory would make Germany a direct target for retaliation, has apparently sent shockwaves of genuine alarm through the alliance. For too long, NATO strategists may have operated under the comfortable illusion that they could manage the escalation ladder, providing Ukraine with increasingly potent weaponry without ever crossing Moscow's ultimate red lines. That illusion is now shattering. The starkness of Russia's threat has introduced a new level of uncertainty and fear, a dawning realization that this is no longer a controlled proxy war, but something far more perilous. NATO officials, despite their public pronouncements of strength and determination, are not fools. They understand the terrifying arithmetic of a direct military confrontation with the Russian Federation. Section 7. Mapping the threat Taurus missiles and Russia's vulnerability. The Taurus KEPD-350 missile system, which Germany, under Chancellor Friedrich Merz, is reportedly considering sending to Ukraine, is far more than just another piece of military hardware. It is a highly sophisticated air-launched cruise missile renowned for its precision, its long range, and its ability to penetrate hardened targets. With an operational range officially stated as over 500 kilometers, that's 300+ miles, the Taurus is designed to fly at low altitudes, hugging the terrain to evade enemy radar, before delivering its potent Mephisto warhead with pinpoint accuracy. This warhead is specifically engineered to defeat deeply buried bunkers and heavily protected infrastructure. It is, by any measure, a formidable offensive weapon, capable of inflicting significant strategic damage far behind enemy lines. If these Taurus missiles were to be launched from Ukrainian-controlled territory, particularly from areas closer to the Russian border, their 500+ kilometer range puts vast swaths of western and southern Russia within striking distance. This isn't just about border skirmishes. This is about the potential to reach major Russian cities, critical military installations, command and control centers, key logistical hubs, and vital economic infrastructure. Section 8. The inescapable consequence, crossing Russia's red line. It is crucial to understand, amidst the escalating rhetoric and the drumbeats of war, that Russia has repeatedly stated it does not seek a direct military conflict with Germany, or with the broader NATO alliance. Officials in Moscow, even while issuing their sternest warnings, have often prefaced their remarks by emphasizing that they are not the initiators of this perilous escalation. They portray themselves not as aggressors eager for a wider war, but as a nation responding to what they perceive as an ever-increasing series of provocations and existential threats emanating from the West. This distinction, whether one accepts it or not, is central to understanding the Kremlin's mindset and the potential triggers for a catastrophic response. They claim they do not want war, but they will not shy away from it if they believe their core security is fundamentally jeopardized. However, Russia also makes it abundantly clear that it feels increasingly cornered by the West's relentless military support for Ukraine. Section 9. No more hiding the end of plausible deniability. For far too long, a dangerous charade has been played out by Western nations, particularly members of the NATO alliance. They have poured billions upon billions of dollars worth of advanced weaponry, intelligence, and financial aid into Ukraine, effectively fueling a proxy war against Russia. All the while, they have maintained a carefully constructed facade of non-belligerence, insisting that they are merely supporting a sovereign nation's right to self-defense, not directly participating in the hostilities. This narrative of plausible deniability has allowed them to escalate their involvement incrementally, always stopping just short, or so they believed, of triggering a direct confrontation with Moscow. It has been a high-stakes game of brinkmanship, played with the lives of Ukrainians and the stability of an entire continent. However, the potential deployment of German-engineered Taurus long-range cruise missiles by Ukraine, capable of striking deep into Russian territory, threatens to tear this veil of plausible deniability to shreds. If these sophisticated weapons bearing the unmistakable imprint of German manufacturing and technological prowess begin to impact targets within Russia, there will be no hiding place for Berlin.